Suma's POV. Okay, and why did you make your flames that colour? I asked, trying not to panic for his sake. Suma, you are starting to kind of freak me out now. What's up? It has nothing to do with you, but I can certainly understand why your squad mates would have become uncomfortable. Which is why? Purple flames were common for the Vikings. Oh. There was a moment of silence as Jake thought. So what do we do? I don't think there is anything we can do. They have already seen the flames, so there would be no point in stopping them, I said, ruffling my feathers to break the tension in my wings. But, Jake sighed, you're probably right. At this point it would probably just be more suspicious to stop. Jake rubbed his hands over his face and leaned his head back for a moment. Suma, I know a bit about the Vikings from my war's history, but what do your people know about them? Is there anything else I should try to avoid doing? What do you mean? Like the purple flames, are there any other defining traits I shouldn't do? Things that would make people think I was a Viking? A few things I suppose, but there were so many legends and myths in that period that what a Viking is, and what they could do, might be a dozen different things depending on the country. Okay, let's start with the simple stuff first, he suggested. I took some time to explain what I could remember from what I had learned or heard over the years. It wasn't much more than what he already knew, though. Chaos magic, purple spells, and incredibly powerful. Is that really the extent of what your people remember? He asked. I am sure there is more, but I am also sure that I don't know it, I explained. Jake leaned against one of the surrounding trees, seemingly in deep thought. You said other countries have different views of Vikings, right? Can you tell me about those? I only heard about it from my father, so I'm not sure how reliable it will be, I told him. It's fine, I'm just curious. Well, when my father was young, he once travelled to the island of Sangu. That was before it fell to the Southern Union. He was a merchant's assistant at the time, and that meant he would travel to different countries to trade goods. He told me that the Roshia, that's what the people of the island call themselves, were once visited by angry gods they called Viki, beings created by the Chaos Dragon to sow terror into them until his return. And they were the Vikings? Jake asked. My father thought so, I explained. So what happened? My father eventually left the island and... No, I mean, what happened to the Roshia? Oh, I don't know. I was young when he told me about them, so he probably left out most of the story. Jake sighed. I know about the Viki, a voice from behind suddenly announced, surprising both Jake and myself. I beat my wings furiously and ended up losing control of myself mid-air and fell on my back. At the same time, I heard Jake shout, a loud thwack and a thud, followed by a groan. I turned to see what happened after regaining my composure. I saw Jake kneeling on the ground, holding the back of his head. A low-hanging branch had been almost completely snapped off the tree he was leaning against. My apologies, I didn't mean to frighten you, the voice said. They fluttered down from the branch they were resting on and landed beside us. It was one pack. Are you okay, Sir Jake? He asked. He rubbed the back of his head and winced. Fine. I just hit my head when I jumped back. Von Pack, what are you doing here? I wondered. I was, He looked uncomfortable. The feathers on his head were up slightly, and his besmeres were just slightly brighter. What I was doing was unimportant, but I do know about the Viki if you are interested. How do you know about them? Jake asked, standing back up. My family used to visit the island of Sangu during the winters. The cold wasn't as harsh there, so it was more bearable. Okay, so what do you know? Jake asked. We quietly listened as Von Pack told us a story. Just a few years after the ravaging, the Roshia were able to restore peace to their island. It was one of the few places that the Chaos Dragon hadn't visited yet in his rampage, so while they were affected, it was mostly from indirect methods, like distributed weather patterns or fewer fish. The Roshia eat fish? I asked, disgusted. Yes, it's actually rather delicious if prepared right, but back to the point. One day a sea flyer, like they had, never seen before, appeared on the horizon. From it the Viki came. At first they avoided them at all costs. The Viki settled on the island's furthest point, deep in the wilds of the forest, so seeing them was rare. However, one day a Nume, whose name was lost to history, approached the Viki and attempted to drive them off the island with his magic. The Viki did not take kindly to this. You see, the Roshia believed that the Chaos Dragon chose to spare them for their good nature, and sent a portion of his soul to live with them. But when they attacked the Viki, it angered the Chaos Dragon, so he empowered them to strike down their arrogant and evil hearts. But I thought the Chaos Dragon was the bad guy, Jake asked confused. He is, I confirmed. The Roshia are Strange people with unusual beliefs. So, let me see if I have this straight. The Roshia believe the Chaos Dragon gave the Vikings or Vicky its power as a way to punish them? Jake asked. Indeed, Von Pack said. It is an interesting story, but unfortunately it doesn't help us much, I said, disappointed. Did the stories mention the Vicky preferring or utilizing special and easy identifiable magical techniques that Jake should avoid? Not to my knowledge, other than death magic and other forms of chaos magic anyway, Von Pack said. Thanks anyway, Von Pack. It was an interesting story. It's weird hearing all these alternate histories of your world and mine. Cool though. I'm sorry I couldn't be of more assistance. It's okay, but I do have another question for you, Jake said. Yes? You were on your way to see Vindica, weren't you? Jake's tone of voice was teasing, almost mocking really. Von Pack answered Jake's question not with words, but by suddenly turning and flying away. They make a cute pairing, I joked, and Jake laughed.